Welcome to the Quick Start Guide for your 802D Permeabilized fiber apparatus. Please refer to the manuals before proceeding to familiarize yourself with the apparatus and all the included components. Open up the boxes and identify all the parts and accessories of the equipment. The 802D Permeabilized fiber apparatus. The 825A tech controller. The 826A coolant circulator. In the 825A box, a thermocouple extension cable, mini DIN cable, BNC cable, and a power cable. There will also be assorted accessories for the ASI bath chamber which you have purchased. In the 826A box, a DC power cable, a bag containing coolant line tubing, and a bottle of coolant. Once unpacked, you will need to select an appropriate location to set up the instruments. The 802D Permeabilized fiber apparatus is designed to mount on an inverted microscope, but can also be used on the lab bench with just a dissection microscope. A vibration isolation table is recommended, but is not required. Space for the control electronics is required within 2 meters of the apparatus, either in a 19-inch rack or on a nearby shelf. Before positioning the apparatus on the microscope, the Aurora Scientific force transducer and motor should be attached to the apparatus. This is best done while the 802D is on its stand. To maximize working area and to avoid accidental contact between the apparatus and the motor or force transducer, we recommend that you loosen the locking screws of the micromanipulators and adjust them to the far rear and top extent of their range. This should be done prior to mounting the transducer and the motor. Begin by removing the motor ring clamp and sliding the motor into the ring. Then reattach the ring clamp to its mount with the provided Allen key. For further information about the motor, please see our introduction to the high-speed length controller videos. The force transducer should be attached next. Remove the mounting plate from the apparatus and use the provided screws to mount the transducer head to the plate as shown. Then remount the plate to the 802D apparatus. Be careful to prevent the force transducer output tube from contacting the 802D apparatus, as this could damage the transducer. With the motor and the transducer mounted, the micromanipulation stages can be used to properly align the motor arm and the transducer tube with the bath itself. The unit is now ready to be placed onto the stage of your inverted microscope. Put the low power objective in place and tilt the condenser head back if possible to avoid bumping any components when placing the 802D onto the microscope. Align the 802D such that the bath plate itself is centered within the stage cutout of your microscope. The plate is designed to fit into a standard 100 mm cutout. However, some adjustment will likely be required to ensure interference-free movement. With the 802D placed on the stage, let's make the power connections so we can test the indexing movement of the bath. Plug the provided power supply into the 802D. Then take the provided mini USB cable and run it between the 802D and the computer with the bath control software. Plug the USB cable into a USB port on the rear of the PC. Don't use a front panel USB connection. If you have an ASI 600A digital controller, then it will come with the 802D bath control software pre-installed and ready to use. If you are using a Windows PC, then install the Windows 802D bath control software onto your PC now. At this point, the toggle switch on the side panel of the 802D can be flipped to on. Verify that the green LED lights up. With the 802D unit turned on, you can now start the 802D bath control software. The software should automatically determine what bath chamber number the apparatus is currently set to. Take note of this and press the button to move to an adjacent bath. Proceed to move through each bath one by one and ensure that the bath plate moves and does not interfere with the microscope stage. If there is interference, then a fault will occur and you will hear the 802D emit a beep and the LED will flash. The fault can typically be cleared by removing any mechanical interference which exists, and then cycle the power switch and restart the bath control software. Continue to move from bath to bath until you can move from chamber 1 to 8 without having the plate touch any part of the microscope. Take the provided adhesive-backed alignment blocks and adhere them to the microscope stage on each side of the 802D. These blocks will allow you to quickly and accurately relocate the apparatus on the microscope. The last of the connections between the 802D and the 825A tech controller and 826A coolant circulator can now be made. Please see the introductory videos to these two pieces of equipment before proceeding. Plug the waterline fittings and the temperature control mini DIN cable as well as the thermocouple to the 802D as shown. This concludes the quick start guide for the initial setup of the 802D permeabilized fiber apparatus. For further information, please contact Aurora Scientific or consult our other manuals and training videos.